Well, now we're going to actually show how we use the bent minnows. There's a couple of different retrieves you can use, and a bit of variety is always good. So you can basically just cast it, sit it for a little while, and then just burn it back with a really aggressive rod tip bounce, bang, 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 bang on the rod tip, and that'll actually get it darting in all directions. Splashes, dart down, up, across, and burn it back towards the boat, but always pause it, let it sit for 5 or 10 seconds, and then do the same again, and that imitates a wounded bait fish or one that's trying to escape a predator. A really erratic splashes, just going nuts on the surface as it comes back at a reasonable speed. Secondly, you can, well, basically just use a slower jab, jab, jab with a lighter, a slower retrieve speed, and that'll give you more of a wounded bait fish that probably not super healthy, easy feed for a flathead. But always stick with giving them a pause every now and then. And the other one is basically just your slow walk the dog type, like a normal surface lure you would walk the dog with, where it's just a rod bang, bang, bang slight with a slower retrieve, and always again pauses. The majority of hits we get are actually on the pause, where the flathead will follow it. Often you'll see a big bow wave come up behind your lure. Oh, bow wave, bow wave. He's on it, he's on it. And then when you pause it, they'll come up behind it and actually just, sometimes they'll slurp it down, sometimes they'll hit it at speed and give you a really good surface hit. So, but I'll show you the first one, which is the aggressive erratic retrieve, that way. So it's a faster retrieve with a really aggressive rod tip stab. Right. And then pause. Or a lot more pauses, but I'm just trying to show you the action of the lure itself. So it's diving and darting under the water, it comes up, splashes on the top, dives left and right, and just does all sorts of crazy things. That sort of imitates a bait fish that's trying to get away, escape. Now the second retrieve is just a slower rod stab. It's much more gentle. That'll dive down, come up to the surface again, like lots of pauses. It gives off a good splash every now and then when you get it on top, but it'll dart left and right, down, and then sometimes it'll actually come up and jump a little bit like that.
So that one's a little bit easier on the arms and wrists. And finally, just the basic walk the dog. You can just light jabs on the rod tip, and it will actually basically walk back to the boat. But still, it's not a definite side-to-side action. Sometimes it will still dive down a little bit, jump up a little bit like that. But that's more of your wounded baitfish that's really sick and struggling to even swim. The thing with the bent is you get a lot of variation in the action itself from the same lure, so you can fish it a lot of different ways. And it's the same with the smaller versions. That's the 190. That's the big one that we've been using lately, and it's the Kraken Lure. We've been doing really well on that. So I'll just give you the same demo on the smaller version. Obviously it's on lighter gear, but that's the 110 bent. And sort of the same thing, but just a lot less aggressive because you're dealing with a much smaller lure on lighter gear. So you can give it the aggressive twitch and a faster retrieve to give you that crazy escaping bait fish. And there's little brim chasing it. Then the slightly slower one. And it will do the same as the big one, but you're just a little bit less aggressive with it because it's a smaller lure. You don't really have to shove it to get it to any action out of it. And it will get tangled. Alright, and the last one's just a normal walk the dog, but it'll dive, it'll dart a little bit. Instead of just a side to side action, it'll dive, it'll go side to side, and sometimes it'll actually just pop up out of the surface. The thing with the bents is the action is just so erratic that it's different probably to what the flathead has been seeing, and it does mimic a wounded baitfish really well. Oh, you can always vary them up too, so you can use 3 varieties of retrieve, do whatever you like with it. But that's that's 3 of the main retrieves we use. So give the HM lures bents a go, and don't be scared of the really big ones.
I really want to just be gentle with this one because I don't want it to do any more damage to itself in relation to that saw. I wonder what could have taken a bite like that out of her. Unless she has been sharked and it's... Oh no. He didn't have fighting out there.
Looks like a cookie cutter.
It does, doesn't it? That's close. We've got the one hook in there now. Oh, where is it? I mean, I really like these fly things he puts on the back of these, but you can't see your hooks. Oh, there it is.
Alright. First of all, we'll turn around. I'll go up the other end. And we're going to get some footage.
Yep, I just want to be real gentle with this, because she's got rib bones poking out of that.
She does too.
We'll get shots from the other side. But that's a bite right across the body.
Yeah.
I reckon she's probably been sharked.
Well, Glenn.
If that's not a metre, I'm going to cry.
It'll be very, very close.
It's going to be close.
Alright, we'll measure her and then we'll talk about the lure.
Yep. You're joking.
What?
Look at the body size of that thing, and it's 93.
93.
Well, 90. I'll take her up to the mat edge. I can't believe that. Just the sheer bulk of it. There you go. 94. But look how wide it is.
That's awesome. Well done. Either way, it's
Oh, I'm not disappointed. I mean, I'm disappointed it wasn't a metre, but just the sheer size of it, man, that is immense.
That's bloody awesome, mate.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Alrighty.
Look at the eyeballs. Alright, just slowing down a little bit.
Slow down, slow down.
Alright, I'll let you go in just a sec. Oh well, ready to go whenever you are.
She's going.
Wow.
Well done.
I can't get over the width of the body on that thing.
I call it for a metre.
Honestly, I did too. As soon as I saw how wide that body was, I thought that's got to be.
Yeah, we've had a metre in the boat before. Remember when I caught?
Okay, so
That time I went and caught my metre again.
yeah, but mine fought. Mine put in an effort.
That's awesome though. Well done.
That's, yeah. I would honestly say I've never caught one with the body weight of that.
No. Well done. I reckon there'll be a few more sitting in there.
Well, that one grabbed it right out on the outside edge, so we've still got the seat of our wave.
Yep.
That was awesome.
Just when I put the camera down.
Yep. It's all right. I got it on mine.
Awesome. All right, let's go do it.
Sweet. Basically, this for the lighter, smaller bents. I'm just using a what is it? 8-pound braid. I think it's got 12-pound leader on it. And you really don't need to go heavier than that for the lighter lures. The rod I'm using is just a 3 to 5 kilo. It's actually my old bass rod, and a 20 size Akuma egg beater on that one. And the other one, because you're throwing a very heavy lure, I'm not sure how much they weigh, but they cast a mile, and you're really going to be able to hook in when you throw them. So definitely heavier line. That's got well, that's actually only 20-pound leader. I normally run a bit heavier than that, but I just had a roll of 20 when I was rigging up last night. That's a 40 size reel. So what's that in the 4,000 size reel? Okay, so 4,000 size reel, and that's 20-pound braid. Normally I would run heavier leader than that, because when you really want to hook in for that long cast, you don't have to worry about your leader breaking with such a heavy lure. Plus it gives you the insurance of against rocks and weed beds and things like that. But yeah, I don't think you need to go any heavier than that. You could. The rod itself has actually got a fair bit of stiffness to it. That rod it's a Samaki Skitch X, and it's 10 to 20 pound, 3/8 to 1.5 ounce. So it's got a bit of backbone to it, and I like that because when you jab the rod at this end, the lure gets the action at the other end. So you're not losing a lot of your energy through just the rod absorbing the jab on the rod tip. So and that's the same with that other rod that I'm using for the lighter one too. It's fairly stiff for its line weight, and I just prefer to use those ones because they're a bit easy to get the action out of them. Now the terrain that we use these in is generally very shallow. Anywhere from shin deep water or even shallower. Well, you cast right up into the super shallow water and generally retrieve back towards the deeper water. That way you're fishing ridiculously shallow areas and still working the deeper areas. But these big flathead can be anywhere from water that's just covering them over out to, well, we've got no problem catching big flathead on these in, well, 1.5 meters up to 2 meters of water. They'll still come up if they're hungry. But yeah, anywhere you've got patchy weed beds on a shallow with a drop off, so work the edge of the drop offs. If you can find somewhere that's got oyster covered rocks as a shallow reef, flathead love to lay up in the sand patches between the oystery rocks. And even barren open mud flats and sand flats, you can still pull big flathead off. Areas that are you wouldn't expect to even see flathead in, but they'll still be there. So you've got to cover, well, everything. Just depends on what they're feeding on and when and what time of day it is. Time of the tide. On a high tide you can fish right up on the edge of the mangroves and all the way out on the sand flats. On a low tide you generally just work the edges of the sand flats and the drop offs, but still cast into the shallows and work back, like up to where you wouldn't expect a flathead to be, and then work your lure back. So one, don't be scared of the big lures. Big fish eat big lures, and so do small fish. And don't be scared to throw in water that you think is too shallow for them, because they'll definitely still be there.
It's hard to see, isn't it?
Just trying to get it away from the tin side. Stop it, you silly bugger. 90, 92 to the absolute tip.
So, tip to tip. Very good. Awesome fish, mate.
This one a bit longer.
Well done, mate.
Hell yeah. 2 over 90 today.
Plenty more time to go yet.
Happy days. Rightio. As far as the colours are concerned, personal preference is a more natural colour, but when flathead can be a little bit weird sometimes, and occasionally if you're having a bit of trouble trying to fire them up on a naturally coloured lure, something that's ridiculously bright can be a game changer. Now that one there is completely nothing like anything natural they'd eat. It's bright pink, but at times that will go nuts. So a variety is always good to have. I mean, we've got the these ones that actually look like a mullet. I mean, for a fish looking at that underwater, it does look like a mullet. To the bright pinks, whites, to the light greens and blues of a garfish. But yeah, generally in crystal clear water, on a bright sunny day, the stupidly bright pinks will often fire when the natural colours won't. If you're fishing dirty water, generally your naturals to a darker colour will give them a contrast in the water for the flathead to see it. But their initial reaction is a wounded bait fish is swimming past and they want to eat it. So if you can create the splash and the movement in the water, that generates the interest. Bit of scent will actually turn the followers into strikes. So we're using the Dizzy scent at the moment. Found that really good. There's plenty of varieties in those. And yeah, pauses. If you see a bow wave coming up behind it, and you will, then a couple of twitches and just stop it. And if the bow wave stops, just a couple of twitches and stop again. And often they'll just come up, and that sort of strike generally isn't a super aggressive slash at it. It's generally just it'll come up and it'll suck down the back set of hooks, and then it gets aggressive. So, but yeah, the dirtier water, darker lures, crystal clear water. I mean, the natural colours will work in both. But your crystal clear water on a bright sunny day, the brighter the colour, the better, and that's where the fluoro pinks come in. But yeah, it's just a personal preference for me. I like that 190mm with the. It's actually got a bit of a fly glittery thing on the back, and I've caught two big flathead on that now. And both of them were corner hooked on that back hook, where they'd come up and actually they'd actually hit that feathery thing instead of basically attacking the front of the lure. So, and that's a good thing to load up with scent too, because it holds it a lot better. So I hope that helps. Like it, not fly.
Yeah. And talk about how it's the erratic surface action that gets those flathead fighter.
I know what I'm talking about.
I know you do, but I'm just reminding you.
I will forget though.
Mate, I'm glad I'm recording all this while we're talking for the blooper reel.
Yeah, of course. Alrighty.
Okay, hang on, I'm going to shut up now, okay?
Yeah, you shut up, Adam.
Okay.
It's my turn.
Okay, you talk.
I've been listening to you talk crap all day.
Okay, so...
Alright, so